Sources tell CBS News the Department of Justice issued 2 subpoenas to the office of New York Attorney General Letitia James. It comes more than a year after James won a civil fraud case against President Trump for hundreds of millions of dollars. Let's bring in CBS News Justice reporter Jake Rosen for much more on this investigation. Jake, thanks for joining us. What is the latest about the subpoena and what are they for?
Well, that's right, Mughal. We already knew that Letitia James was under investigation for alleged mortgage fraud. We reported that back in May when the Department of Justice and Trump administration launched this investigation led by the FBI into that aspect of James's personal dealings. Now the Department of Justice has made it about her, specifically about her going after President Trump and his allies. As you just mentioned, the investigation, the civil lawsuit that resulted in $355 million fine that has then been appealed. We really have not heard from an appeals court on that for a long time. That doesn't mean President Trump has forgotten about it. And the Department of Justice is opening an investigation. A grand jury has been convened in that case to potentially go after her for potentially violating President Trump's legal rights in that investigation. You'll remember it was about the Trump organization, President Trump and his children, and how they handled and ran that organization in which they were convicted in a civil way of fraud. Also, at the same time, the National Rifle Association, which has long been in Letitia James's crosshairs as she leads all legals going on from the state level in New York, the investigation by the Department of Justice is also going into them as well. So there have been 2 subpoenas, both specifically about her handling of this. And you'll remember James did went after the NRA successfully at first to get kind of the corporate death penalty to punish them for a number of things, including fraud, and that has since been appealed as well.
And Jake, you touched on my next question earlier, but we know there's a history between President Trump and James. Can you break some of that down for us? Because it just certainly seems like it's not over yet. And now that Trump is in office, here the Justice Department is going after James.
Yeah, and President Trump has made no secret in both his first administration and since then into now, and these current going-ons when he has a Department of Justice that is willing to launch these kinds of investigations into people like Letitia James, who made no secret about her willingness to open and eventually go after the Trump organization and President Trump for the fraud that they had committed. At the same time, President Trump had been calling it a witch hunt. He testified in that case in front of her, calling her that, and then would go out and talk to the press about it. He pledged to go after people like her, calling her and a number of other people leaders of this witch hunt that was against him. And it hasn't slowed down. And think about the number of people, Chris Krebs, Miles Taylor, a number of other high-profile people who took legal steps or came out against him to call him out, who have been retaliated against in some form of another. This is yet the latest development in Letitia James' case, as the Department of Justice has now expanded their investigation to not just go after her personally, but to go after her office and the investigations that have been launched.
Yeah, certainly seems to be a pattern on that one. Jake Rosen, thank you so much for your reporting.